Hello everyone, I'm Sabin and welcome back to the Board Game Vault. Today, we're going to take a look at a game which was originally popularized by the smash hit app Plague Inc. Now, interestingly enough, this game was by first-time designer James Vaughn and also first-time publisher Endemic Games. Now, this was also the same group that worked on the app itself, so does it translate into a board game? Well, let's find out. Here's a game set up for 2 players. To begin, make sure every player has 5 trait cards, a player board, a starting country with a piece on it. Also, lay out 3 country cards, the country deck, trait cards, and event deck as so. Each turn, each player will complete all 5 actions before passing it off to the next player. I'll now briefly describe the 5 actions. During the first phase, you get DNA points equal to how many countries you have control over. They don't have to be completely filled, just so long as you have tied for the most or the most in each country, you would gain 1 DNA point for each. The second phase is selecting a country card. You can face it from this pile here, or take the top one off the deck. When you place a card, select the one you wish, and put it in the corresponding region. Norway's in Europe, so that's where it would go. If you do not wish to place a card, you can opt to discard that card, removing it from the game, discarding your hand of trait cards, which I'll talk about in a moment, and draw 5 new ones from the pile. The evolution phase is where you get to let your disease take form. You could choose any card from your hand that you have, pay the corresponding cost of DNA points from your score, and then place that card in any free evolution space. For instance, at the end of the game, it will be worth 4 points, but also, I now have cold resistance. I could potentially go into Norway.
Now, as you play more and more trait cards, you'll notice that your disease is now able to go airborne, increase its lethality. Maybe you're better at dealing with hot weather countries, or you can travel across from dock to dock. If you say, for instance, you have waterborne active, you can go from South Korea to Norway, even if it's not in the same region, because you're connected by the symbols at the corner. If I had airborne, I could travel from one airport to another, like Saudi Arabia, again, without being in the same region.
During the infectivity phase, you add up all the traits with the infectivity symbol, and you could add that many of your tokens to a country that you are either in the same region as or have a connection. I can't yet place any tokens into Norway because I don't have waterborne, which is this symbol. Maybe in later rounds I'll be able to travel across to the next dock into Norway. For now though, I'll place the 2 into South Korea. The last phase in this turn is the death phase. During this turn, you look and see how many countries are completely filled, leaving no empty spots. Also, if you have control. If you do, you roll this dice and you compare it to what your lethality is. If your dice roll is equal to or less than your lethality, that country is destroyed. Let's say it's still purple player's turn and they're on the death phase. They see they have control of South Korea and it is completely filled. Their lethality is 1, they roll the dice. Obviously they didn't get it with that low of lethality, but say they did. That country becomes destroyed. Players return their tokens to their player boards, and they receive 1 DNA point for each one they removed. I had 3, purple player would get 3, the blue player would get 2. Also, the player who destroyed the card gets to keep it for potential end-of-game bonus scoring. Any player involved with the destruction of that country also draws an event card. So in this case, blue and purple would both get an event card because they both had pieces in that country. You may only have up to 3 event cards. They are one-time use bonuses, usually given at the beginning or the end of a turn, depending on what the card says. These are very powerful, can often swing the outcome of the game. Play continues back and forth between all players until the final country card has been drawn, at which point sudden death occurs. During sudden death, the game will end as soon as a player is unable to move or has no more tokens on the main board. During final scoring, add up any of the evolved trait cards to however many DNA points you already have. There's also some bonus point DNA points that you can achieve. The player with the most tokens up at the board gets 4 DNA points. The person who killed the most countries out of a certain continent would get some points. Also, the person who killed the biggest country would get points. Calculate whoever has the most DNA points, and they are the winner. So, what did I think about this game? Well, for a first-time publisher and designer, they did a really good job with the component quality. Also, the rulebook is very clear and concise and easy to follow. And as far as the fluidity of play, it's actually rather streamlined, which is surprising seeing as it came from an app, and these are both first-time designer and publishers. Now, there's a couple things about the game that I don't normally look for. There is a fair amount of randomness, which you may have seen in the overview. Those trait cards are especially swingy, and they can really make a big difference in the outcome of the game. Now, all that being said, I still do recommend the game, and I did have a great time playing it. Overall, I'd give it 4 out of 5 stars, and I do look forward to playing this more in the future. Thank you very much for watching.